right, today we're interviewing Mr. Robert Blackwell. Bob served on as a ball Turk on our B-17s in Europe during World War II. Doesn't look like he's a World War II veteran, but he is. So, tell us about your early life, Bob. Where were you born and where
Oh,
did you grow up?
I was born in Buffalo, New York,
Okay.
and my father was with the Veterans Administration and was moved around a good bit.
Oh, all right.
So I went from there to Northampton, Massachusetts, and then in about 1938, he was transferred to Perry Point, Maryland.
Okay.
And then I went to high school in a little town north of there. The high school has been washed away by floods since then. It's called Port Deposit,
Oh, okay.
and it's on the Susquehanna River. And then about the time my father was selected with the Veterans Administration, was selected to go to uh, Southern Ohio to be the regional representative for the GI Bill. So he would approve and inspect all the anyone who wanted to teach veterans and get reimbursement from the government would have to, he'd have to give them an
I
inspection.
see.
Anyhow, that was where I had graduated from high school in Maryland. I went back there and I wasn't 18 yet. So I was there for probably a month, and I worked in different things, did mechanical drawings and so on like that.
You graduated from high school in what year?
1943.
43, so you would have been born in 25 then?
Yeah,
So,
that makes me 79 now.
oh, okay. um, what was your reaction when you first heard about Pearl Harbor?
Well, I was sitting in the side yard at the house in Maryland, and I heard about it, and I thought, I didn't even know where Pearl Harbor was. And of course, like a lot of us didn't.
Yeah.
And the lady from next door, who her son had gone in for 1 year for, they had drafted him for a year.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah. And so she was very afraid that her son was going to be involved in that. And he never was, but anyhow, I was very shocked, and I listened to, I took everything that President Roosevelt said very seriously, which most of the country did.
Now, in your school, did you participate in like scrap metal drives?
No, because there wasn't any war yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay. That's right. I'm getting all ahead of myself.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah, I had just graduated the same year as the war started.
Okay, good. All right. So, were you drafted in the army, or did you
No,
enlist?
I was in Dayton, Ohio at the time, living with my parents, and I saw the recruiting for the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
And of course, Wright-Patterson Field is right there
That's right.
in Dayton, and so I went out and made inquiry, and the fellow said, well, here's an application. He says, why don't you apply to the Air Force? He says, before they draft you. So,
Okay.
so I applied when I was 17, and then as soon as I was 18, they started giving me a test for the mental and the physicals, and then they told me I passed, and then I was going to be a cadet.
This is a pilot cadet?
Huh?
For flight training?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
And I was went from there to well, they helped me out. They told me where I was going to go and
Oh,
so
yes.
on like that. And then in October, they told me to report to Fort Benjamin Harris in Indianapolis, and from there they sent me to Jefferson Barracks, Missouri, where I had basic training.
All right. Now what, pardon me, what year is this?
This is still 43.
1943.
Yeah.
And Jefferson Barracks is, I think, near St. Louis?
What's that?
Jefferson Barracks is near St. Louis, I
Yeah,
believe?
yeah, just south of St. Louis. Yeah.
How long was your basic training in those days? 'Cause,
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah, because then they took you and you became a cadet, and then they gave you some more basic training beside that.
Even though you were going in the Air Force, you went through regular Army basic training, just
Right.
like infantrymen would.
Right.
Okay.
And most of the training officers were infantry people.
So when you got done your basic training, what happened after that?
After basic training, they gave me a 10-day leave. I went home, and then I had to report to Las Vegas, Nevada, where I went to.
Oh, Las Vegas.
I went to gunnery school out there.
Tell
By
us-
the time I had graduated, by the time basic training was over, they told us all that we were all going to go to the infantry, except some of us were going to go into aircrew training, either be a navigator, a bombardier, or gunner.
Oh, why did they cancel your orders for flight training?
Just about time I was finished, just after the 6 weeks,
Did they,
just before the 6 weeks, probably 4 or 5 weeks.
what was the reason for the change of?
Oh,
changing
well,
your
they had
orders?
enough, they had recruited enough and had enough in training. They didn't have any more training facilities.
Oh, I see. So, okay.
And I don't, they had it pretty well planned out.
Good. Tell us what Las Vegas was like. Everybody thinks of the big city it is now, 700,000 people, all the casinos and stuff, and it wasn't like that in 1943, was it?
No, it was more like Muskegon.
Oh, okay. Not a very a city, maybe
Yeah.
30, 40,000.
Yeah. And it wasn't even that big, I don't think.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. We had, we only got into town once or twice.
Now, were you stationed at what is now Nellis Air Force Base?
Yeah, I think, I can't remember what the name of it was. Wasn't there several bases out there?
There might have been in those days. Nellis is the big one right now, just north of Las Vegas.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. They had gunnery school, they had ball turret gunners and top gunners, you know, simulators.
oh, yes.
And actually, the actual equipment was there, but you just shot it with a camera.
All right.
And then they, teach you there was a certain amount of trajectory in shooting from a moving plane to another moving plane.
Oh, yes.
So they put us in the back of pickup trucks with shotguns,
Oh, okay.
and then drove us past a skeet range. And they would launch the skeets, and then we were supposed to leave them and shoot them with a shotgun from the
Not-
pickup truck I was riding along.
Now, have you ever done any hunting as
No,
before
I
that,
had,
or have you
no,
ever
I
had
had a
firearms?
22, and that was it.
Okay, so this is quite a change.
Oh,
for you,
yeah, yeah.
Learning, like say, leading the target and stuff.
Yeah, I was just learning the basic. I didn't even have any idea how a machine gun worked.
And one of the things they taught you, of course, you had to be able to strip down the guns and
Yeah.
repair them, maintain them, and everything.
Yeah.
A 50 caliber gun is a big piece of machinery when you get
Yeah, but it's really quite simple.
to get down to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they taught you gunnery at this school. How long was this school again? 6 weeks, was it?
Oh, it was about 10 weeks.
10 weeks, okay.
Yeah.
And then from there, were you assigned to a flight crew then?
No, I was assigned to I went to Lincoln, Nebraska, and they assigned us to crews. They made up crews there,
Oh, okay.
like the pilots had finished training and they were available. The co-pilots and bombardiers, they were all in a big pool there, and they would, draw names and make crews out of them.
Okay, so it's, you were just assigned your crew by lot?
Uh-huh,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I've heard other stories, this is in the British Air Force, they just kind of a bunch of them got together and they just went around, met each other and kind of, would you like to join my crew and stuff, but it was different in the Air
Not
Force.
that I wasn't aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how big, how many people were in your crew? How many men were in your crew?
I think there was
10
Eight.
men?
8 people, yeah.
8, okay. And what was your specific duties as a gunner?
I was, at that time, when they assigned us from Lincoln, Nebraska, we went for training. We picked up a plane there and went for training to Ardmore, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
And there was an air base there. Gene Autry, I don't know, you remember him, the cowboy hero?
The cowboy story.
Yeah, he had donated most of his ranch, because it was nice level ground, to the Air Force to lease it out to them
Oh, I see.
for training, and they built training facilities there.
Okay.
And that's where they assigned me to the ball turret gunner. And
All right.
yeah.
But, could you tell us about the ball turret for people that aren't familiar with the design of a B-17?
Well, it's really it's kind of like sitting in the fetal position
Oh.
with your feet up, which controlled the aiming of the gun.
Well, now you had your feet operate pedals that would.
Yeah, like that.
Now
That would operate the part of the thing, and then the other part was a contraption over your head, which 2 little handles. You would turn them right to turn the ball right and left, down, up.
What did your foot pedals control? Did that control like the horizontal?
That controlled the aiming device. See, the gun sight was an optical configuration that had projected on it various images, various lines.
Oh, okay.
And it had lines like this, which you could control by turning the ball turret up or down.
Oh, I see.
And then it had the horizontal, which you could control this way also. But as far as what was in that parameter, you had 2 lines which you would frame the particular object that you're shooting at.
Oh, okay.
So it would frame it in the gun sight, and then when you got it in the gun sight, then you would press the trigger on the top of the gun, on top of the handles, and the 2 50 caliber machine guns, which were right there by your shoulder, would start shooting.
Okay. I didn't know it worked that way. It sounds like it requires good, well, exceptional hand-eye coordination, because you're working with your hands and your feet and trying to,
Yeah.
get oriented and everything. It requires
Yeah.
great degree of manual dexterity. How did you come to be assigned to the ball turret?
Actually, I was the lightest one. I was, at that time, I weighed 140 pounds.
Oh, okay.
I was tall, but that didn't seem to bother anybody.
Yeah,
And not only that, that I was the youngest, and they intimidated me.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that, because in terms of height, you're about 5'8" or so, and
Yeah.
usually you're thinking
Well, at that time, I was 5'11", so.
5'11", yeah, that's
Yeah.
awful tall for ball turret gunner. Usually,
Yeah.
I think of men, probably about
Yeah.
5'4", 5'5",
Yeah.
because it isn't a very big space
No,
to get into.
Yeah. I said we were in a fetal position. As you get in, it would have a curvature to the back,
Oh.
and then there was a little platform that you sat on. The back of the of your ball turret gun was armor plated.
All right.
The seat was armor plated, and under the seat was the valves that controlled your oxygen,
I see.
and also the relief tube was under there too.
Oh, okay.
So
So did it seem kind of scary? You know, you're riding in the bottom of the airplane, and you look down. There's just 20,000 feet of
you know, I
sky.
have never been very. I've never been afraid of heights
Oh, good.
until now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other day I was on top of I can't remember what I was looking. Oh, I was when I was in. I just came back from Saipan.
Oh.
Okay. Anyhow, and there was a big mountain there, and there's a huge cliff there, and there's also a lookout at the top of the mountain. And I looked down, and I have never been bothered with heights before, but.
Okay.
Now, is that because I'm older, or smarter?
That could be when you're young. You
Yeah.
kind of
I was pretty
do
fearless.
things you wouldn't. You look back at it later, says, "I must have been nuts."
Well, not only that, but I really think I thought I was indestructible.
Yeah. Now, when you were in Oklahoma, your crew went through training, kind of meld them into a team that
Yeah.
everybody knew what their
Yeah,
job
it
was.
was mostly for the air crew, the pilots and co-pilots,
Okay.
and bombardiers and navigators, because we would fly from Oklahoma City, say, to Galveston, Texas, and they would pretend they'd take the bomb sites and pretend they were going to bomb the harbor or do something like that. But the navigator had to get us there correctly and everything like that.
Okay.
The rest of us just kind of sat in the
Uh-huh. Excellent. How long would you be in the ball turret on a mission like that? About 4 hours or so?
probably 5 hours, 6 hours.
Were you pretty stiff when you got out of that? Were you kind of
No,
cramped up?
I don't recall it was.
Okay. So after you got done with your training in Oklahoma, what happened then?
They sent us to, I think it was Kearney, Nebraska.
Okay.
And from Kearney, Nebraska, they gave us a new plane. We flew from there to to Maine, and then to Goose Bay, Labrador,
Okay.
and then Goose Bay, Labrador to Iceland,
Iceland, okay.
and then Iceland down to Scotland.
All right.
Across that.
That's how they ferried, I guess the route they ferried most of the aircraft over
Yeah.
there was.
And to tell you how naive I was, when I was in Iceland, it was in July now. July 44.
1944. Okay.
Yeah. I was there, and the crew people said, "Well, Bob, why don't you take the first shift to guard the plane out here on the runway, because the plane had to be guarded."
Okay.
So he says, "You do that until it gets dark." It does not get dark.
No, you're.
In Iceland, at about 4 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't figure out why.
Yeah, way up in the northern
And then the
latitude.
sun started to come up again.
They pulled a fast one on you.
Oh,
there.
they did. And they were in town. They were in the officers were in the officers' mess having a few drinks, and the enlisted men were just.
Oh, yeah, pretty sneaky of you guys. those guys.
Yeah.
But they didn't pull that one on you a second time, though. did
No,
they?
no. Then there went to I think someplace in Scotland, and then they sent us for some further training in. Well, mostly the crew went for training.
So, what unit were you assigned to ultimately, your crew?
487th Bomb Group,
All right, and,
336 Bomb Squadron.
okay. And where were they stationed?
They were stationed at Lavenham.
Lavenham.
Now, they have it misspelled there. It's Lavenham,
Okay.
Lavenham.
And where part of England is that?
It's
located?
in East Alonge.
Okay.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Anglia.
Anglia. And it was north of Norwich and south of Bury St. Edmunds,
Okay.
that area.
All right.
That whole area, of course, was all airfields. If you
Yeah.
ever look at the preparation.
Yeah, it must have been dozens around there in
Mhm.
Norfolk and stuff.
Yeah. In fact, of the people, the military historians and collectors,
Uh-huh.
I think there's 5 of us that were within 10 miles of each other.
Gosh.
That,
Well, amazing, you know, you get confirmation, how do you find your own base?
yeah.
That close together.
That's why they have the navigator.
Yeah. So you weren't too far from London then, you could get the train to London when you had
When
had
you got a
and
pass,
stuff.
yeah. Yeah, my first trip to London was really an eye-opener. I got there during one of the last German air raids,
Oh,
and there was all kinds of destruction around them.
I see. Well, we'll talk more about London in a little while, so. This takes you to July of '44, you're in, signed your operational unit. What was your first mission like? Your first
I
combat
don't
mission?
really remember, but I remember it was, see, D-Day had happened in June.
Oh, yeah.
We were there in July, and so they had advanced from the beach up to about St. Lo,
Okay.
and toward Cherbourg, and they were going for the Netherlands. My first mission, I believe, was to bomb the hell out of St. Lo, because the army just could not get through there,
Oh, all right.
and because they had the Germans had it so fortified.
I know this must have been the mission where they, sent the heavy bombers over to, carpet bomb the area to enable the army to break out of the hedgerows and
Yep.
stuff. Okay. Did you see any enemy opposition when you were on that mission?
No.
No German aircraft?
Well, there's flak, of course.
Oh, and aircraft fire you were
Yeah.
taking. Did that get anywhere close to your aircraft, or were you flying above it?
No, it was right around us.
And what altitude were you flying this mission at? Do you happen to remember?
We had several missions there, and then we went to Germany,
Germany. Okay,
the Ruhr and the Ruhr Valley, which is heavily flaked.
Okay, that's
And then
yeah,
crossing from England to Germany, we went across the Holland, which the Zuider Zee had huge flak, almost a curtain.
Oh, okay. So they started shooting at you as soon as you got
Yeah,
over there.
yeah, as soon as we got across the. Yeah.
Could you tell us about what the preparation was for a mission? When would your day start?
Oh, okay. They'd probably wake you up about 3:30 or 4,
So in the middle of the night, you're starting to get ready.
and then you go have breakfast, and then you go down and you would. Sometimes you would go get your equipment and take it out the plane and then come back. But most of the time you go to the briefing room where they had this huge map projection on the wall of Europe, and then they have different colored yarn going from our base to wherever we were going. So you could see where you were going, whether you were going to go through the Ruhr Valley to get to this point, or whether you were going to go to this place to get to Berlin, or whether you were going to go someplace else. But anyhow, they had this behind a big curtain.
Oh, yes.
And when they draw that curtain back, all these crews were standing, or sitting around, waiting to find out where they're going, and there'd be this huge, oh, not that again, oh, hey, this is a milk run.
There was no inkling before they pulled the curve back where you'd be going?
No.
No rumors or anything running around
No,
said we're
no,
going to Berlin
no,
or
no.
Hamburg or someplace
No.
like that?
Well, they had pretty good security.
Oh.
Yeah,
Very good security then.
yeah. We
Now, were there certain targets, like you say, ever dreaded to go to, and others were kind of considered an easier target,
no, there was,
or is all of Germany pretty much a tough target
Yeah.
wherever you went?
yeah. Berlin was hard. Of course, they had protected it very well.
Did you fly any missions to Berlin?
Two.
2 missions
Yeah.
to Berlin.
And,
And you were at the Ruhr, so your
Right.
cities like around
right,
Essen.
and went to Peenemünde, where the rockets were being tested.
Oh yes, in the Baltic, the little
Uh-huh.
small island off the
Yeah.
Baltic coast. of
Yeah,
Germany.
and that was very well protected. But the idea was to try to bomb their preparations so they couldn't get going on their
Oh,
operation.
okay.
But by then they had already developed a rocket that was going to London, so,
Oh yeah, this was the V2.
Yeah.
They developed there the
Yeah.
first ballistic missile.
yeah. And then they had, of course, they had, the buzz bomb had been developed there too.
Oh yes.
And I didn't know it until later, but they were also working on an atomic bomb,
Oh.
and we knew that.
That's why we were one of the reasons we started our
That's
program.
right, yeah.
We wanted to had to beat the Germans before they
Yeah.
got theirs.
Yeah.
So, after you've had your briefing, then you
We-
went out to your grade.
Yeah, we get our like flight jackets and electric underwear.
Electric, okay.
Yeah, I had to have it because I was in the military gunner because I couldn't take real bulky fleece line.
Oh yeah, you see that in the old films. The
Yeah.
leather jacket with the fleece
Yeah.
lining. I
Yeah.
guess were trousers and boots.
Yeah,
the same
mine
way.
was just a jumpsuit with electric suit over top of it.
Oh yeah. For that
And
other.
I can't remember, I think it was like electric underwear. And then you put the jumpsuit on over top of that. And you could put a light jacket on.
Okay. And people think of an airliner today, it's so comfortable, 72 degrees and stuff. It
Yeah.
wasn't like that flying in a B-17.
No, it wasn't.
25, 30,000 feet, is it? It's,
Right.
what, 50, 60 below zero up there? or-
Yeah, about that. But of
It's-
course, the radio room would be heated. There'd be a certain amount of heat blowing into the waist position.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there was anything into the tail gun position.
Oh,
But there was for the bombardier and navigator and the engineer and the crew up front, it was pretty comfortable.
so how many aircraft would a group send out on a mission?
I was trying to think of that the other day, and I think that probably 40,
40, okay.
yeah, 35, 40,
And then you'd form up with other groups to go over your targets. So
Right.
you might have
right.
300-400 aircraft, maybe.
Right.
Bombing.
Or we'd all go over as a big group for protection,
Oh, okay.
and then break off, and one would go to like an airfield, the other would go to the railroad yard, and
Oh, I see, okay. Now, this stage of the war, did you have fighter escorts?
toward the end, yeah, well, just as I got there, they started having fighter
Okay, 'cause
escorts.
The B-17s took very heavy losses earlier in the war because they didn't have fighter escorts, and in
Right.
spite of their heavy armament, they weren't able to defend themselves completely.
Oh, but they did a hell of a good job without it before
Yeah,
we
because
got there.
they call it flying fortress because all the machine guns you had,
Yeah,
2 in your turret and How many others were there on the
waist
airplane?
gunners, 2 waist gunners, top turret, bottom turret. The navigator had one on each side, and the bombardier had the one on.
Because he'd have like a 10 or 12 machine guns.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of firepower.
Yeah. And see, now, just to show the importance of fighter escorts, the time when I was shot down,
You were shot down.
yeah, how that happened was that the Germans could detect that we had missed our fighter escorts. They knew where the fighter escorts were going to take off.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, their intelligence is amazing. They knew where they were going to take off. And then they could track that on their radar and find that they were on time or late or whatever. They found out they were 20 minutes late, and we were early.
Oh.
So they just immediately, within 10 minutes, they had their planes up and in formation, and were attacking us.
In that short gap, you know,
Yeah.
that short 20-minute gap there.
Yeah. And they had used a different technique that they had before. They used what was called the company front attack, which would be like spraying the whole formation with machine gun fire.
Oh. Okay.
Like, you know.
So you get a line of like German fighters, maybe
Yeah,
20 or
like
25 across?
yeah, there would be like 8 or 10 fighters down here, another 8 or 10 up here, and then of course the formation was pretty tight,
Oh, yeah.
so they would shoot it at the whole thing rather than individual plane.
And of course, you're coming at head on at each other, and you
Oh
don't.
no, they came up in the tail with this,
Oh,
versus a soft
behind.
soft
Oh,
spot.
Okay. I see. Yeah, because you just have the tail gunner covering the rear, and.
Oh
the
yeah,
ball
and the
turret
ball
would go
turret
down
gunner
below.
was, and the top turret gunner was getting some too. So.
Now tell us about this mission you were shot down on. Which mission was it, and what was your target that day?
My pilot decided that he wanted to become a lead crew. Now, there's different formations and they have different. A lead crew was the one that was the head of the formation,
Oh, okay.
and then they took turns leading the whole group.
Oh, I see.
And this particular, they had been a lead crew for 2 missions. Because it was a lead crew, they replaced the ball turret with a radar turret,
Oh, I see.
so they could read the formation underneath.
Oh, okay.
They replaced the tail gunner with the co-pilot, so he could keep track of the planes that were behind him.
Oh, all right.
And he could radio to the different pilots, come on, close it up there. You know, he knew all their names, had identification to
Oh,
them.
all right.
Close it up, call us, or loosen it up. We're kind of, you know, he did that.
You kind of,
And
you know,
that-
control the formation. of
Right. Now, our captain, our Crooch, or my pilot that I went over with, became a crew leader. And the day that we were shot down, they had a Air Force general, and I cannot think of his name, and he was riding in the co-pilot seat,
Oh, I see.
and the co-pilot, of course, was in back. I was in a substitute crew that I had never flown with before.
Okay. So these
But-
are all new men you were with?
No, and yeah, they're new. They're people out of the hospital, people off sick leave, or people who just got there. Or there was kind of a pool.
Okay.
They were taking them out of the pool. They would go into the pool and make up a crew. Now, they don't normally do that. They want you to train together first.
Oh, yeah. So this is a.
But this, because it was the Battle of the Bulge at that time, December 24th, and it was the first good, clear day that they had for site bombing.
Okay.
They wanted to a maximum effort. In other words, every plane that was in the 8th Air Force that was flyable, they wanted in the air.
So you're talking thousands of B-17s going out on this mission.
Yeah. And our crew, our captain, was the head of the whole shebang with the general.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And we were flying one of the wings in back of him, and that was where I was. Now, the tail gunner and I had been good friends, and of course he was kicked off because the co-pilot took his place in the tail,
Oh, yes. Okay.
and I was kicked off because of the radar ball.
All right.
So we ended up in the same substitute crew.
Okay.
And so I did know someone in that crew. They were nice guys.
But this is the first time you ever flew with any of these other men outside the tail gunner.
Yeah. So anyhow, the Germans came toward us, and they made one pass, and I noticed that they shot down 2 or 3 bombers, and we still didn't have our fighter escort. And then they came around and made a tight turn and came in again from the back in a company formation
Oh.
and doing this. And I noticed that our tail gunner, I think, shot down one of the German planes,
Oh, good.
or 2. Some of, there's quite a few German planes were lost, but I don't know, not nearly as in proportion to the ones we lost.
Yeah.
Because they said that when that mission was over, that night at the base, there was, out of all the planes in the base, there was only 12 of them that came back
12.
and landed at that field. 12 planes.
A lot of them were damaged.
A lot of them were damaged and landed at other fields or were shot down or.
Yeah, you see the old movies like 12 O'Clock High. You hear the planes coming, and you see the men up in the tower counting how many there are coming back. And what sort of damage did your plane take in this attack?
I don't remember. All I remember is that I was down there and I could look out and I could see that they had hit the right engine, one of the right engines. I can't tell you which one. And then I heard from the pilot. He says, "Looks like we're going to go down." He said, "Prepare to bail out." So I immediately tilted the ball turret up so I could get into the plane.
Oh yes, get in through your access.
Yeah, and then I grabbed my parachute. I had my jacket on. I had my jacket on, and I had my parachute harness over top of that.
Okay.
And then you took the parachute, which was front pack. It had 2 rings on it,
Oh.
which you hook to the front of the harness that you wore on shoulders and neck. Then I walked over to the tail, or to the door, and the radio operator was there, and he wouldn't. I said, "Out? Are you going out?" Indicating, "What are you going to do?" And he yelled, "I can't go out. I can't do it."
Did you have to give him a kick in the rear to push him out?
No, I didn't have nerve to do that. Wish I had now, because he never went.
He didn't.
No.
He didn't get out of the plane.
No. Either that or he was landed too late. He did it too
I
late.
see. How many was the plane gyrating? Was it
No, it was just kind of in a long course.
Just losing altitude.
Yeah, losing
speed.
altitude to the left.
How many did all your crew?
no,
many of your crew got out?
the tail gunner, who I thought was trapped back there, and I don't know, but I think the engineer, no, I know the engineer didn't make it, but I think maybe one of the bombardiers or the navigator may have made it. But
Did your waist gunners get out, or were they?
one of them did,
One of
yeah.
them did.
Well, because we were a substitute crew, we only had one waist gunner. We didn't have two.
Oh, I see.
You know,
You didn't-
one guy
so
would
it
shoot out
wasn't-
one side, then shoot out the
It
other.
wasn't a full
Yeah.
10-man crew then?
Yeah.
I see, so roughly half the crew got out.
Yeah.
Now, what would it feel like, after you got out of the airplane,
It
you're
was
plummeting
scary.
through midair, and the battle's going on around
Yeah.
you and everything?
Well, of course, because I had electric suit on, I had electric shoes on, electric wire shoes, and my regular GI shoes were beside my parachute,
Oh, I see.
and they were tied together by their laces.
Uh-huh.
And I put those on the harness, and then as I went out, forced the parachute opening, the shoes just broke off and went down.
Oh, okay.
So then I was up there 20 minutes,
Jeez. Took you a
because
while.
we were at 30,000 feet.
Oh,
It takes a
man.
while to come down.
Yeah, it sure does. Didn't know it took that long.
Yeah.
So you get a
And
quite a view of the battle while you're.
you couldn't see, everything seemed to be so far away. Like I could see other,
Oh, that's right.
I
Yeah,
could
the
see other
planes that keep
people in
moving
parachutes,
away
and I
from
could
you.
see them below me. See them, didn't see very many above me, but just the ones below me, and I could see the plane disappearing now.
Now, were you over German territory at this time, or did the Germans attack you before you reached their
Well,
lines?
if you remember the Battle of the Bulge,
Oh, yes.
okay, it made a bulge down toward France.
Uh-huh.
And we're over a part of the bulge that was half in Belgium and half in that the Germans held.
Oh, okay.
In the bulge.
So you're over German-held territory that we
Yeah.
we did.
So we were, anyhow, I landed on a river that divided the two. I landed in the river,
Oh, in
which is about like the Rogue River,
okay.
only a little faster.
And very cold because
Yeah, on December 24th, it was very
Christmas Eve.
cold.
Quite a Christmas present, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
So I landed in that, but as I was coming down, I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I realized the Germans were shooting at me
Oh,
from the ground.
the army saw you, huh?
So anyhow, I landed in the river. The Germans came around and started shooting at me, but they got cut off by a creek. But the force of the water, as I came down, I realized that I was going to have to get out of that harness,
Oh, yes.
and I mistakenly unsnapped the one at the waist instead of the ones at the crotch.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the British had a parachute harness that you just unscrewed that and hit it like that, and they would all release.
Oh, I see.
But we didn't have those.
Oh,
So anyhow, it ended up that as I landed in the water, the parachute filled with water and pulled it away from me,
oh, I
so
see.
that I was floating down the river feet first,
Okay.
being dragged along. And then, as I was dragged along, the Germans would take a shot at me from over there. And then pretty soon I didn't hear anything, just the water.
Oh,
And then I was dragged over. I was half underwater and half up. I'd keep coming up long enough to get my breath. And I was a pretty good swimmer anyhow.
and the parachute still
It
still
would
attached to
deflate,
you?
and then it would get on a snag on something, and then I would catch up to it and start to get out, and then it would fill up again.
All right.
So I got over to a bank, and there was a sapling there about, an inch around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean about 4 inches around. And I thought I couldn't get it. I had my hands on it, and I had my legs around it. What I did, I put my legs around it, so like that. And then the parachute inflated again and pulled me off
Pulled you off.
and broke my ankle.
Oh, gee.
Thank goodness there was some Belgian people downstream could see my situation, and they waded out and they grabbed the front of the parachute and
Okay.
dragged it into shore and pulled me in afterwards.
So some Belgian civilians
Uh-huh.
brought you ashore then.
Yeah. Then about then, I think an American Jeep came along. No, it was I can't remember how I got. Anyhow, I ended up in a small roadside hotel,
Oh,
one by the, and it was behind the line.
all right.
And so they filled the bathtub up with hot water because my clothes were frozen
Oh, yeah.
on me.
Yeah, middle of December.
You know, it's really weird walking along with frozen clothes. Rather chafing, also.
Yeah.
But yeah, they treated me good. They notified the Americans, and they took me to a MASH unit that was just setting up. All the personnel were there, but they weren't operational yet.
Oh, I see.
That was Christmas Eve. And it was in a church, Catholic church, and they had taken all the pews. Well, of course, a lot of the churches over there don't have pews in them anyhow.
Oh, I see.
And they had me go over there, and they had cots in there for the wounded. And I was their first patient. They put me in dry clothes and wrapped my ankle. And then they all took off for church at midnight and left me.
Oh, these are the.
And I remember it was awful lonesome feeling seeing that votive light, one votive light on the altar, and thinking, my God, you really lucked out.
So, yeah, it sure did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in this the Army hospital for.
Yeah, no, and then they didn't have room for me, and they didn't have anything set up for a bigger hospital, so they turned me over to the RAF.
The British Air Force.
Yeah, and I went to Brussels and ended up in a RAF hospital in Brussels.
Okay. What was it like being with the British in the British
Oh,
hospital?
wonderful.
Oh.
For one thing, they treat their NCOs with so much respect, non-commissioned
Oh,
officers.
yeah. So you were a sergeant?
Yeah, I was
this
a
time?
sergeant then, and so I was put in a private room with another sergeant,
Oh,
and
okay.
he was from the Royal Air Force, and he had been a courier, and he had had a motorcycle accident.
Oh.
So he was there, but he was not quite a bit older than I was, and he had traveled to Brussels before, and he had friends there.
Oh, okay.
So quite often he'd take off in the afternoon and go visit with his friends, and I'd be just in the hospital reading, so I like that.
So you sound like you got good care from them.
Yeah, and then I got a cast on my foot, walking cast, and that sergeant fixed me up with one of his uniforms.
Oh.
So I was in the RAF for 4 or 5 days. I can't remember what.
Uh-huh.
And then they flew me over to Oxford, England, to an army hospital.
I see.
Yeah.
How long were you in the hospital all told before you returned back to duty?
Let me see. That was December. It was spring.
So you're out of the war then for
No, yeah, I was out of the war
about
for
3 or 4 months. Then?
yeah. I still came back and I flew 2 or 3 missions after that.
Okay. And then you get to VE Day and.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you fly any missions? I know they flew some missions over Holland, dropping food to people and stuff. Did you fly?
No, no, I did fly one mission as if they wanted the damage. They wanted to photograph all the damage they caused in the Ruhr,
Oh, okay.
in the Ruhr Valley, and they wanted pictures of that.
Okay.
But you tell me now, how much time did they have, and would they have bothered to look up how much their bomb strikes meant after the war was over?
Oh, yeah. There's been quite a bit of controversy how effective the bombing was.
Yeah.
I've read stories the British would bomb at night. Of course, everything's blacked out. You don't,
That's right.
even aiming for a big city like Berlin, you might miss it.
Oh, yeah. And when you photograph it in the daytime, you don't know whether you did it or the British did.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyhow, that was that. Then that's when I came back to the base and I discovered that Sam wasn't killed.
Sam was your friend.
The tail gunner.
The tail gunner.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was from Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
And so we had a few drinks together,
Oh, excellent.
and I wish it had just been a few.
Had a little too many. Had quite a hangover the next day.
Yeah.
Especially that British beer is quite a bit stronger than our American beer.
And he was older. His Czechoslovakian. His mother and father from Czechoslovakia,
Oh, okay.
and from Youngstown. And he was American born, and his brothers were too. He had 2 brothers in the Air Force, and both of them were plane crew members. His brother was shot down over Czechoslovakia. He was flying out of Italy on B-24s.
Okay.
And he was shot down over Czechoslovakia, and as far as I know, I think he was something like 25 miles from where his folks were born.
Oh, wow. But
He was dead.
Oh, he was killed.
Yeah, he was killed. And his other brother, I think, was in the South Pacific.
Okay. So.
It's not like Private Ryan. They should have taken him out. They should never let him fly.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of families had brothers in the serving out various theaters.
Yeah, and of course, maybe I'm not sure, but there's a lot of patriotic families that he wouldn't have wanted any special treatment.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a different. The mood of the country was, everybody's got to do whatever they can to defeat the enemy powers.
Yeah.
So, being shot down and breaking your ankle on that incident, you were entitled to a Purple Heart. Heart then?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you earn any other decorations of war, like Air Medal or Distinguished Flying Cross?
I got Air Medal.
You got Air Medal.
Yeah. Good Conduct Medal.
Good conduct. So, like they used to say, 3 years of undiscovered crime. You're up to mischief, but they didn't catch you. Like when you would go to London, you had tell us about the stories when you would go to London when you had a pass. That was.
Oh yeah.
London was quite it wasn't a wild town, but it's of course a big city with a lot of stuff going on.
It was wonderful.
Of course,
they loved the Yanks.
Yeah. They used to complain sometimes, Americans were overpaid, oversexed, and over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you get would it be like an overnight pass, or would you get like a whole weekend, or even a week's leave?
Sometimes we got a 48-hour pass.
Okay.
And they didn't, after the war was over, they didn't keep real close track if you were late coming back.
Oh.
If you're, if you're 12 hours late, that was it, but nothing more than 12 hours.
So if you're late coming back, they might give you an extra duty or something, maybe.
No, they wouldn't even notice it.
Oh, they wouldn't, okay. So,
Not unless you told them about it.
oh, I see. All right. When were you, all right. So you're mustered out of the service in what time?
Oh, I came home in the Queen Mary.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The ocean liner out of Long Beach?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I was out there a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago, and my son-in-law bought me this. He lives in Long Beach.
Okay. It wasn't quite as luxurious for you as it was,
Oh,
you know,
no,
for the
no.
people traveling on it
No.
after the war. So.
Yeah. But it was a wonderful experience coming in. Our ship laid off of New York. It got in about midnight, and it stayed over until about 7 o'clock in the morning. Then it came in the East River,
Okay.
past the Statue of Liberty, and a beautiful sunny day. And I was at the rail, and there were thousands of people there. All the fire boats were there with their big
Yeah.
streams and people, tugboats, tooting their horns, and it was a beautiful greeting, I tell you.
Quite a homecoming then.
Yes, and being able to see the Statue of Liberty like that was just really outstanding.
Could you tell us a little about your life after the war? We got just
Huh?
about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Did you? What sort of work did you do after the war? And tell us about.
Well, I
about
went
your
to, I
family.
took the GI Bill and went back to school. I didn't go back to school, I enrolled.
What-
Went to Miami University for 4 years, 3 years.
This is in Miami of Ohio.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And
Then I worked as a insurance adjuster.
oh, okay. How did you end up in Grand Rapids?
I transferred to here. I was hired in Des Moines. My wife was from Des Moines,
Oh, I see.
or from southwest Iowa, and I went from Des Moines. They transferred me to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
At Lincoln, Nebraska, the manager was transferred, and there was 2 of us with the same amount of seniority,
Uh-huh.
and they asked us if we would decide between us which one wanted to stay.
Okay.
Well, of course, I was from back east. I wanted to go Midwest at least, and so I ended up in Lansing, Michigan.
Oh, Lansing. Okay.
They transferred me to Lansing.
Is your wife still alive? Or?
Yeah, no, she died 10 years, 20 years, 15 years ago.
Oh, so you've been a widower quite a while then.
Yeah, I remarried.
Oh, you did. I see. Do you have any children or?
I had 6 children.
6 children.
Yeah,
Okay.
5 daughters and 1 son.
Excellent. Yeah, you think
15 grandchildren.
Wow. You think of the men who didn't survive the war, and all the families that never started, all the kids that were never born and
Yeah.
stuff, and all the things that
Yeah.
wouldn't have happened. So. You've had quite an exciting life, Bob, and very, very, very long
Oh,
and
yeah.
healthy life. So.
Well, yeah. I started to say as I was in Saipan, and I really learned a lot about the Battle of Saipan.
Oh yeah.
So, if you happen to have someone who was at the Battle of Saipan, let me know. I'll bring the maps
Okay.
that he can relate to.
All right. Yeah, I think.
It's a Marine Corps, probably, or something like that.
Yeah.
Some Army units were there too.
All right. Good. Well, Bob, we want to thank you for sharing your experiences with us. and
Well, thank you.
Thank you for all your service
Okay.
during the war and afterwards. It was a pleasure talking with you this morning, and we
Okay.
hope people will
Okay.
check out your interview
All right.
and learn what it's like to be on a gun runner on a B-17 during the
Yeah.
war.
You can, the person who transcribes it,
Mm-hmm.
see, I used to be an insurance adjuster, and I used to take recorded statements,
Oh yes.
and I always thought it was nice because the person you were taking the interview from, you could call them up and ask them how to how to pronounce a certain word or if I got this correctly. And if the person who transcribes this would like my telephone number, it's 891-1171.
Okay.
And they can call me and I can, how to spell it or how to change the nuance of it or whatever.
Okay, sounds good then, Bob.
All right.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good talking with you this morning.